Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Oxbridge Formula as we bring you the ultimate guide to colleges at Oxford and at Cambridge. And today we have Martha joining us. Hi.
Hello.
We're going to give you like a first-hand insight into life at Jesus College at Cambridge. So great to have you with us, Martha.
Thanks, great to be here.
So could you tell us what subject did you study at Jesus and for how long was that?
So I did theology and religion, or like the official name is theology, religion and philosophy of religion. And that was a 3-year course and I've just finished my final year.
Oh, bless you. What a year to finish.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So if you could sum up like your experience of studying at the college, how would you describe it?
I think genuinely it's just been like so much fun. Like I don't know, for me it was quite a good balance of kind of like work and like social life and things like that, and so it was just really fun. And like getting stuck into your subject, getting stuck into like uni stuff, uni life, it's just brilliant. Like it's been so good.
What a surprise.
I'm sad to be leaving.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
when people, I don't know, think of like Cambridge, they don't necessarily think of fun as the word. So
Yeah, sure.
it's quite
Yeah,
refreshing.
I think and I don't know, like all of my like friends at Jesus are like, it's definitely one of like, it's just a really fun place to be, like just really great group of people, like it's brilliant. Yeah,
And why do you think that is?
I think a big part of it is that our college, it really feels like a community. So like it is quite a big college, and like, for example, I was the only one doing my subject in my year, but that didn't kind of stop me from like making friends and things like that. Like I think it really does feel like a community, and like all of the students and the staff and the fellows who are like the lecturers and supervisors, like there's no kind of like, obviously there's like the fellows, they're professors, but it doesn't feel like a massive hierarchy or anything like that. And like the master of college who like runs the college is so big on it being like a home, like away from home. and so it just really feels like a community, and it's just a really lovely place to be.
Oh, that's so nice. So how different do you think that would have been if you'd say been at a smaller Cambridge college?
Hmm. Um, well, I'm trying to think. I don't think it would have been super different. I feel like, I mean, I probably would have had someone else doing my subject at a different college, so I don't know whether I would have got like closer with them or like something like that. But I think from kind of my experience of going to other colleges and having friends at other colleges, like most people feel like there is a really good sense of like having like, it's almost like a Cambridge family or something like that, where like, I mean, you do have your college family, but like I think like at other colleges it's probably a similar feel, but obviously I haven't experienced that, so but I think it may have been similar, but it's hard to know, to be honest with you, because you get so stuck into your college and you're like, this college is like my home, that you kind of forget that like there are people at other colleges and they don't do the same things as you, and like, so you get so stuck into it that you can often just, I don't know, just kind of dismiss the others.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, everyone kind of
Yeah.
everyone learns to love their college, and everyone's like, oh, ours is the best and
Yeah.
things like that. But it's really nice to hear
Yeah, definitely. Exactly.
such a positive experience. It's lovely. So
Mm.
I'm really interested about the fact that you were the only person in your in like your year group at Jesus studying theology and religion. How did your supervisions feel?
So, um, actually, they were fine. Like, obviously, the kind of first time you meet a supervisor, especially in first year, like you kind of walk in, even if you're in like a smaller group, you walk in and you're like, oh my goodness, like I'm really scared. I've written this terrible piece of work for them, I don't know what I'm doing, and like it's just all happening now. And doing that on your own, it's a bit scary, but actually I found throughout my 3 years, I found it to be so good, because like you get used to kind of like having awkward silences and just kind of sitting there and being like, I don't know the answer. And you get used to just being really honest with your supervisors. You're like, oh, I didn't have time to do this reading, and like you have no one to fall back on. And so it's just I think actually um it is a big learning curve doing kind of supervisions on your own, but actually it's a good thing, because it teaches you to be really honest in your abilities, and in your like general like time management and things like that. But it also gives you the opportunity to like get really stuck into the topic that you're on, or something like that. Like so many times my supervisions would just like run over because I'd be, you know, asking questions, partly because I didn't understand, but also just because like we'd be having such interesting conversations that like you kind of didn't want it to stop. So obviously I've never had a supervision in like a kind of a small group, but I think it has been really beneficial, like doing it kind of on my own. So I mean I've enjoyed it.
That's so amazing. I mean, so nice that you can kind of make the most of it in that way.
Yeah, I think you have to, because if you don't, you get a bit stuck on the whole like, I don't know, if say 1 week you just didn't have time to do anything, and you walk into the super and you're like, oh, this is really terrible. but you're like, but I've got to do it, and so let's just do it. So you almost just have to like take it as it is, and just be like, okay, this is going to be a bad hour, but then I can just go on and forget about that, and maybe come back to it for an exam, who knows. So it's just you kind of like have to go with it, but I think that's a good thing, I think. Yeah.
Honestly, if you can do that, you can do anything.
I hope so.
And just for context, is it very similar in other years, or are there more kind of numbers studying your subject?
So normally there's like 2 or 3 people in a year at each college studying theology, but sadly the other person who got an offer in my year didn't make their offer, and they didn't kind of take anyone else in from the summer pool, which is kind of it's like a pool of students who like who may have not got an offer, or were put in the pool to like find out if they'd get an offer on results day. So no one was kind of brought in from that, and no one was brought in from another college. So it was just me. But normally there'd be 2 or 3 people doing my subject. I think in some cases I even know of like 4 people. So it does depend from college to college, but yeah. So.
Well, I'm glad you were happy with it being that way.
Yeah. Thanks.
So what particular thing drew you to Jesus College out of all colleges?
So I I actually look around Jesus as a bit of a joke, because I was with one of my family members on the open day, and they'd been at Jesus College, and I was like, haha, wouldn't it be hilarious if I looked around and went there? And then I walked in and I was like, oh, this is really nice. So like I have so many friends who did the wise thing, and like kind of, you know, looked at different colleges and compared like, you know, rent and like the people who taught there and college life and all things like that, and I didn't do that. Because I was just when I was applying, it was sort of like, okay, well, I'm going to apply, and if I don't get in, then that's okay, I have other options. And so it wasn't like a life or death kind of situation for me, which sounds weird, like that sounds cocky, but I think it was more just that I was quite almost like relaxed. You know, it didn't feel like my whole life was kind of set on getting into Cambridge, so I didn't I didn't put much effort into like reading up before open days. So I actually, yeah, but then when I walked into Jesus, I'd looked around a couple of other colleges, just ones that were nearby and ones that I'd kind of heard of. But then I walked into Jesus like joking around, and then as soon as I walked in, I was just like amazed at the amount of space that was there, and it felt so much more open than any of the other colleges I'd looked around. And also it just felt like really homey, and it just felt like that's, if I applied, that's where I should be. So it's definitely very much a feelings thing, which you don't often get at Cambridge. But it was kind of like I walked in and I was like, okay, this feels right for me. There's lots of space, there's lots of people. Everyone that I've spoken to was really friendly. It was really beautiful. And so it was definitely more of like, okay, this feels like a community, this feels like somewhere I could be and get along with people and have a really great time. So I yeah, it was sort of that kind of initial like gut feeling that actually drew me to the college. And I think when I was applying, I was a bit like, oh my goodness, like should I apply to Jesus? Like, I didn't really look at colleges. I don't really know what I'm doing. But I think it like your kind of instincts, like they do really make a difference when you're applying to a college or a university in general. Like I, for example, I looked at the Cambridge course, I looked at the Oxford course for theology, and I was like, okay, the Oxford one doesn't look like it's for me, the Cambridge one looks like it's more for me, so I'm going to go for that one. So yeah, those kind of like instant reactions are really helpful in kind of deciding colleges, like especially when you go to them, walk around them, and you're like, okay, this doesn't feel right, or okay, this feels good. So that was kind of the the big deciding factor for me. I didn't do much research.
I think a lot of people say that actually, that like sometimes you do just know, like it's a feeling.
Yeah, and I don't know whether if I'd gone around loads of other colleges it would have been different, but I think, yeah, you almost have to limit yourself about where you're going to go, because at Cambridge there's like 30 colleges, and I don't know how many there are at Oxford, but like there's a lot. And so
Yeah.
and so you've got to be sensible, because you're like, you can't go and look around every single one. So yeah, look at, like, even if it's for a joke, go in, have a look around, see how it feels, talk to the people there, like that's really important, because they'll give you a sense of what they think of the college and what the community's like there. So yeah, I think those are the important things.
Yeah, I think you can think about it too much. It can be quite overwhelming, like picking, the place that you could end up living. But like, which were the other ones that you looked at? Can you remember?
So I walked around Magdalen College, which was just down the road from Jesus. I think that was just because I got off the bus there. Basically, it was all just like coincidence. And I looked round. Where else did I look? I looked a bit round Sydney, Sussex, which was just opposite Jesus. And then I think throughout my time at Cambridge, I obviously went to different colleges, and I thought, oh, this is really nice. So there were lots more that were like really great, but Jesus was the one that I like felt most comfortable at. Yeah.
Oh, that's so lovely. So, I mean, when you actually, ended up moving in and that joke turned out the way it did,
Crikey.